Hi guys, welcome back to Stout Sport Performance. I'm Austin Stout, and in today's video, I want to talk to you about what I think is one of the most misunderstood and poorly applied concepts in strength and conditioning and training: stability training. This falls into the category of what if the way we did things was wrong? What if the way we've always done things wasn't correct? And when we think about stability training, I think people think a lot about holding certain positions. We think about static postures. We think about standing on a wobbly balance board and trying to maintain our balance. And while those things can certainly have a time and place within our training, they can help us with an ability to co-contract if that's something that we lack at a certain joint or region of the body, they don't necessarily transfer well when we think about being stable under dynamic circumstances. And that's really where we need our stability. Think about running, for example. It can be great that you might be able to stand on a wobble board and hold your balance for 30 or 45 seconds, but does that really translate to you being able to land with a foot on the ground during a cycle of running, stabilize immediately in that position, and get the most out of the energy and force that you're producing? Or are you unable to stabilize well during that cycle of running, and are you losing energy throughout that step? And not only are you losing energy, but that could be leading to poor and biomechanically unsafe positions. So we need to start to transition away from stability training simply being something that we do under undynamic circumstances, under static conditions, and we need to start working towards using stability training as a way to train our ability to stabilize under dynamic conditions. When we run, and we're going to use running as an example before we go to an exercise to help demonstrate this concept, every step is a little bit different than the last. Even if you're a highly trained runner running on a perfectly flat surface where theoretically the conditions are going to be as identical as possible, every step is going to be a little bit different. And that's because, or at least some of the theory that comes out now about how our body stabilizes and how we learn to move, is that there's certain parts of our motion that are the same. And those things aren't going to change or shouldn't change if we have a healthy movement pattern. Other parts of our movement, of course, have to be able to change so we can adapt to the circumstances around us. If we can only move one way, then of course we can't adapt to the changing circumstances around us. But if we can move every single possible way, then it becomes impossible for us to move well with any sort of consistency. So the goal here isn't necessarily to try to become stable in a static situation, but it's to be able to train the parts of the body that need to be consistent to continue to be consistent, and then to train the other parts of the body to be able to adapt well to external circumstances and situations. So one of the ways that we can do this is to try to train stability under dynamic conditions. So I have a low-level box here, and this is one of the exercises that I introduce to my clients when they're ready to start training under some more dynamic conditions. And what we're really working on here is our ability to lock the hip and to be able to find stability from our hip under the dynamic circumstances of rapid contralateral hip flexion. So what we're going to do here is we're going to stand on one leg, and this leg's going to be on the ground. So my left leg's on the ground. I got this bar behind me here, and I'm going to raise my right knee into a hip extended position. I'm going to have a little bit of tension in my core, but the goal for me here is going to be to step down as quick as I can onto this low box. It's only about 10 centimeters high. And then stabilize by locking all the muscles here around that right hip, and as quick as I can bring that left knee into hip extension. I'm going to hold here just to make sure that I've actually become stable after that rapidly applied dynamic circumstance. Now by holding this bar here with my arms and taking my arms out of the equation to some extent so that I can make sure that I'm stabilizing here with this hip and not necessarily finding that stability through other parts of the body or counterbalancing them with movement of my arms. So I'm going to perform another repetition here, and we're going to hold. Typically we perform about 2 to 3 sets of 6 repetitions while we do that. Now this is just one example of a true stability exercise that you can perform in my mind, but the point of this video and your takeaway should be stability training and being stable means being stable under dynamic circumstances. So So you can continue to do the wobble board stuff, that's not a problem. But make sure that you're trying to stabilize under moving conditions as well. That's going to be more important for you when it comes to being stable in recreational sporting activities and also life. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you give this video a like and share this content. Follow and subscribe for more training content. See you next time.